Hi, and thanks for joining us on this Sunday once again for Cannabis Legalization News. Tom is presently in Canacon, Minnesota. He's on the floor with Dimitri, who's part of MIDA. This is going to be an interesting hour. We got plenty to talk about. Let's just hope how many glitches we got by will be a smoke break each time we use technical difficulties. Oh, I say that 10 times. Let's get into it. Yeah, guys.
What up?
How you doing?
Not much. All right. Dimitri, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Mickey, you look good. You look good. I love the green. You're looking pretty spiff there, like you just came back from a workout.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, dressed down casually. Yesterday I was in my 3-piece suit. I used it to intimidate people. Old prosecutor trick. Today, in my more relaxed mode. I'm a Dimitri Downing, founder of MIDA. Been in the industry for about 12 years. It's changed me a lot as a person. Thank God for the cannabis industry every day of my life. The cannabis consumer, the cannabis plant, those who are involved in cannabis policy, and those who have represented freedom, which is the underlying theme of the cannabis industry, very well over the last 50 years until I personally came in and joined the fight, and glad to be here. Thank you, guys.
Are you a lawyer, Dimitri?
I am a U of A law grad, 1998, prosecuted 1998 to 2010, mostly domestic violence prosecutor. Did my fair share of marijuana prosecution, but never always. We just do what we're told. And I'm done with that. I've been done with that in 2012.
Right on. Hey, Tom, how's the event? How's Canacon treating you?
It's not all that busy, to be honest. We had a great interview with Governor Ventura earlier today. And so Jesse Ventura was here, gave a keynote speech, and we interviewed him for, gosh, how long was that? Like an hour?
Yeah. The man's a stud.
Really?
He is the original American badass. Maybe if I can say that. There probably was somebody before Kid Rock, but he is a badass.
Is that going to be on our channel?
Kid Rock's nowhere near the badass that Governor Ventura was. He was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
but
true.
a Navy SEAL, before the Navy SEAL had like restrictions and training manuals and things they weren't allowed to do for woke, politically correct kind of sensitivity things.
Dimitri, so he was you say there's always shit happening, dude. Like when I was in the service, people are always trying to be kinder, gentler, but people are still going to be fucked with. Like it's still going to be a hardcore workout, whatever regime thing to go through. You guys, MIDA, what is MIDA, dudes?
MIDA is a Marijuana Industry Trade Association, founded in 2016, expanded nationally in 2021. We focus now on professional development, business development, deal flow. We want to make sure companies have an opportunity to further their ability to make money through us. We do a lot of education, social equity education, whatever comes across our thing, education-wise. And we do events. We do golf tournaments. We participate in just about every conference in the country. And we're doing focusing on manufacturing, distribution, and brand migration because that's where most of the activity and the entrepreneurial stuff is right now. We're focusing on that this year, and we're doing a big project in BizCon. But yeah, we do a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't want to try to dominate the conversation because there's two of you on one side and one over here. You guys talked to Ventura though. Is that going to be on our channel, dudes, or where's that going to be at?
We're gonna have to edit it, and so like they recorded it to the hard drive, and then they balance the sound. So that's gonna take some time.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. You guys want to get into the news?
Yeah, let's do some news. What's our lead story of the week?
So polls support for marijuana legalization rescheduling industry, banking access in 3 battleground states. Coming from Marijuana Moment, this not only legalization, right, guys, but women's rights. I mean, this is going to bring a lot of people out to vote.
Perhaps. I mean, this is Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, they say.
Yep.
Those are going to be some important states.
Well, in Florida coming out too, right, for legalization.
Yeah, there's an interesting story from Florida we'll cover in a minute. The Scott's Miracle Company sponsored this ballot or this poll. Pretty interesting. You know what they do?
Well, it's the whole
Hawthorne.
Yeah, well, they've been part of the cannabis grow industry for years, since medical time, at least here in Washington State. I think that's just good business, right? Like someone saw, like we have a product, it's a taboo type product, and yet, they invested in it. So I think it's pretty dope. But like, it's kind of no shit though, right? Most Americans are pro legalization. You know,
You'd hope so.
Yeah, and I know the people over at Scott's Miracle Grow and Hawthorne pretty well. Tom over there, he's one of the lobbyists. Good guy. Now I don't know what they're involved with that the Florida legalization ballot, but I do have my concerns. I'm a market structure guy. I don't like to see licensing caps and limited licensing and restrictions on people's ability to participate in the cannabis industry, especially like the OGs that kind of get left out in this very complicated new world that's being created. And so Florida's model for legalization is perhaps one of the most restrictive that has ever been designed and ever been pushed. And, there's pluses about letting people consume freely. That's a very big plus down there. But if you're interested in the market structure as an entrepreneur, it's not exactly.
Oh, no, it gets worse because they're sitting on 75 applications right now. They haven't given out. And so they could dilute. They have the MMTC. And then those MMTCs would then carry forward into the full adult use area. And it's not good for the consumer. You walk into a True Leaf store, and that's all you get. True Leaf. Can you imagine if you would have to go to a Coca-Cola store, and the only thing you could buy was Coca-Cola.
Yep, and it's government mandated true verticalization. Right now, an Apple store could carry Android if it wanted to, but it chooses not to. Imagine if it was legally bound and not allowed to carry something. And unfortunately, we all know the drug war 2.0, prohibition 2.0 is the theme of the day, and it's carrying it's the new reality. It has its good, it has its bad, and I think sometimes it goes too far. And this Florida legalization initiative, in my little humble opinion, might be too far.
Well,
we interrupted an in-depth conversation on the 420 break.
Yeah, 420. 20 past the hour. Here it's the Central Time zone. So.
I appreciate even sitting next to Tom, because his level of preparedness and his in-depth understanding of things and his capabilities are absolutely extraordinary. So if you're out there and to the audience, tell a friend about this show, because the quality of your host, me, I'm just visiting, is tremendous. And I have a chance to look behind the scenes, and I'm looking at the notes that you prepared.
Well, I didn't prepare them. The team prepares those.
Oh, okay. I thought that was you.
No.
Well, your team is great then. Sorry. That's incredible. Look at those notes.
Yeah. We try and structure the conversation. But it's funny. I think Dimitri, when he talks about Florida being the most strict state, I think you coming from Arizona, right? I mean, the little $5 million barrier, that's kind of a little.
It's a little more than 5 million.
Well, you think 5 million steep in Arizona? It's 5 to 10 million for license. Those licenses in Florida, before those 75 get sorted down to the 22 that are going to get issued, and it's going to get diluted. Right now, those licenses are probably transferring hands somewhere between 15 and 35 million, depending on who you talk to, depending what stage they're at. But that's the reality of a Florida license. So if it goes recreational, those licenses are going to be 30 to 65 million, on projected, speculative type earnings. It's just, so where does that leave the OGs, the craft growers, the entrepreneurs, the college graduates, your neighbor's son's nephew's daughter who one day wants to get into cannabis, learn as a bud tender, as a manager, or as a cultivator, and then one day own her own shop? It just creates a situation where they're stuck being a second-class citizen forever. So I don't understand why the unions support it, because unions should care about the mobility of the worker. If I was an entrepreneur, I wouldn't support it. Now, if I'm just a consumer, what do I care? I just want to have it legal. But as Tom was saying, the reality of having, 22 plus 27, however many is 50 shops, and there will only be 50 shops. Do not kid yourself that there will ever be anything else issued, because the lobbying power at the Capitol is huge, and they will stop everything for new licenses. That's a reality of the situation. We see it in different states. There will never be, so the consumers will be dealt with a weird situation where they're forced to get these vertically integrated cannabis products, and so it won't be as good. And but it's a step in the right direction. So is that good enough? It really is up to you.
Well, before we get into the Iowa senator who's just being an idiot, there are some Florida senators that are also being idiots at the state level. So that if they pass it, the people pass it, they want to then ban it legislatively.
Right.
Yeah. Hilarious.
And can you do? We don't need to deep dive into the Florida situation, but does the legislature, the assembly, have a right to come in and do something, change something to negatively impact that recreational push if it passes at 60%? There might be some nuance there. They couldn't. That's where we have the Voter Protection Act in Arizona and some other states that doesn't allow the legislators or the assembly body to alter initiatives or referendums passed by the people in any form or any manner whatsoever, except for maybe at 2/3 or 75%. So that's why we get stuff like the Voter Protection Act. But whatever.
It'll be interesting.
No,
it'll be interesting because
it's a good conversation.
A constitutional amendment, and then are they going to override it legislatively? Who knows?
I can geek out on this stuff for hours.
No, but you guys are talking on a state level though, because you know what would change all that? You know what would kind of help the ball a little more forward on this whole legalization process?
Schedule 3.
What? Yes. So we have a new article from Marijuana Moment. GOP senator demands answers on rush to reschedule marijuana from top Biden administration officials. This genius, this fucking rocket scientist.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would call him a genius, but I would say that he is definitely a senator out of Iowa named Chuck Grassley. Did not know his middle name was Ernest. That's cool. We have a quote from the letter that he has. Health policy should be based on sound scientific data, which is why I write, raising concerns. The Justice Department bypassed traditional safeguards in its haste to reschedule marijuana. Now, remember, it's been over 50 years in Schedule 1. Adding that he'd like clarification on why the proposal to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 without addressing the Drug Enforcement Administration's request for additional information. And he goes on to quote, in fact, the DEA requested additional scientific input to determine if marijuana has accepted medical use, but the Justice Department attorneys deemed their request impermissibly narrow. After rejecting the DEA's concern, you signed the notice of proposed rulemaking instead of the DEA administrator. This is a break from tradition. Which tradition are you referring to, Senator Grassley? Because I don't recall any rescheduling of any drug to a lower level.
And if I was like in front of court of law, I'd say, and Your Honor, by the way, when they scheduled it in the first place, there was no scientific evidence to put it on that schedule.
Right.
But now you want scientific evidence to take it off?
And they did. They had 252 pages of scientific evidence proving that it has a currently accepted medical use, doing a survey of all 38 states that have medical cannabis and what it's used for and how efficacious it is.
Well, we have reports from the 1930s, you know, from the LaGuardia report, the Schaefer Commission, you know, these numerous.
The LaGuardia report was the 40s, and the Schaefer Commission was actually mandated by the Controlled Substances Act, and then that was published in 1972. So, like, this is just politics. This is just Chuck Grassley not liking weed. Okay.
Period. But like, that's bad politics. Why do they choose this whole like? It's kind of like the DeSantis thing where they take the money for the hemp, but yet you know, to fight the legalization processes. You know, someone earlier in the chat was talking about how right now Kentucky, a lot of hemp farmers that's helping, but it's really not legalization, right, guys? Because just because they're not getting messed with, and they're not getting raided on these farms because they're growing CBD, CBGs, or perhaps T-shirts. Who knows what they're fucking using the intent for the grow.
There's a 95% chance. Actually, I think it's closer to 97%, because the USDA keeps track of why you're growing the hemp. And so they usually have checked, like 95 or 97% of the times, they've checked the cannabinoid box. They aren't growing it for food or fiber or any type of industrial purposes. 97% of the time.
Well, and then now with the THC loophole and all the other bullshit, gas station vapes and all the other stuff they're selling. You guys good?
Yeah, that sounds. Well, somebody just hit something. Do we sound all right to you, Mickey?
Yeah, no, you sound fine. Nothing moved. Nothing happened.
That sounds better when you hit that button.
Hit that button again.
Yeah, do it again. No, don't do it again.
It's because I'm muting Dimitri, and I don't want him to like.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's a hiss thing.
I bet she wishes she had.
Oh, it's a microphone.
Too. No, I just right. No, I just
Let's
noticed.
the next story.
It's just go ahead.
All right. So we got Trump endorsing Florida marijuana legalization initiative would guarantee victory. Top
It's
ally
not that,
Roger
it's
L
not.
says. So
But
this
he
is
has
more
not yet endorsed it.
no
And so his buddy Roger, wait, who did you say?
Roger Stone.
Ailes is dead. Oh, Roger Stone.
Top ally.
Yeah.
Roger Stone.
Yeah.
Not Roger Ailes.
Roger Stone says that if President Donald Trump endorses
Testing.
marijuana legalization on the ballot, it would guarantee victory.
No, they just voted, and this guy still hasn't made a statement, right? Because wasn't it last week at his press conference he said, "I'm going to make a statement on this very important topic," even though he says it should be a state right bullshit, or he doesn't believe.
It's going to be fairly soon. Hang on, Dimitri is a pro at translating the intent of what Donald Trump actually says, as you're not allowed to listen to what the words that Donald Trump says. You have to glean through that. So when Donald Trump says that fairly soon, he is going to say his piece.
Well, this is the media report.
3.
First of all, I'd have to listen to his actual statements because there's always words within words within words.
You think
he's a very complicated man. And so, but it's a good sign. And, but I got to say, Roger Stone's a little bit of an odd dude. I've met him in the Los Angeles Cannabis Conference. And I don't know if I would necessarily listen to Roger Stone on things just because he seemed a little bit odd. But, you know, if Trump says he's heading in that direction, then he's heading in that direction. That's a good sign. And as we know, what'd you say?
Hasn't Roger Stone done like genocide in countries? Like, isn't he one of those people that like?
Yeah, there's some weird stuff, but you know, I don't trust really anything I see in the media. But I'll tell you what, you know, I like. We're here in Minnesota. You got Waltz, and you have Harris, and if they get elected, the federal government is going to be very proactively involved in cannabis legalization. We're going to have regulations. We're going to have FDA. We're going to have rules. We're going to have a government that has the time and energy and commitment to creating a masterful planned drug war 2.0, prohibition 2.0. The unions are going to be involved. Social equity is going to be involved. It's going to be a wonderful mess. We do know that. If Trump gets elected, we have no idea what's going to happen.
I can venture against the Project 2025 will ban all of it.
I think just let. I mean, if it just he's all about states' rights. So if we just continue with the states' rights things, we're going to continue to have these incubators of marketplaces. Minnesota's going to thrive. California's going to thrive. It's all going to be good within those states, and states' rights is going to keep on. I am terrified of what a well-planned plan looks like at the federal level for the entire cannabis industry.
We won't have that for years.
Right, but they'll do that.
Everything has it
through Schedule 3. I think if they get through Schedule 3, whoever wins before January 20th, we're fine. Because like if it's Trump, I don't think he's going to undo it because it's too popular. He's going to want the states to do their own thing. And then if it's Harris and Walz, they're going to wait because like it's moving at regulatory speed. So like the hemp laws moved at regulatory speed too. It took years for them to make that rule, put it into effect, and say that it's now what you have to play by the rules. So that's going to play out with Schedule 3, and then Congress. We were talking to Jesse Ventura today. The only reason that it got legalized here in Minnesota was because the Democrats took both House and the Senate. So unless you have the Democrats taking the House and the Senate, and with the Senate, you have to have 60 votes to even bring up a bill. So you would have to have some defections from the Republicans to say, yeah, we need to legalize this. Years.
Right. But I kind of like the states' rights model.
Why?
I mean, it is working within those states, and that's okay. Federal legalization is going to upend everything. Sorry, go ahead.
I just thought you wanted fairness, right? Like this the whole thing about like a federal thing caveat, because like alcohol took 15 years to become regulated properly. It's not a one party thing. It's the descheduling process, then the banking rules, and then the testing requirements, and then it's also like
here's what I want the federal government to do is get out of the way and just let the states do what they want to do. Well, here and the problem is, and I love Democrats in general. They have a lot of well-intended good ideas, but they think they can plan out everything. They think they can know everything. They think they can structure everything. They think that they just have all the variables together. They can figure it all out. And that, to me, is unknown, and it could be a disaster and very restrictive for a lot of people who want to be involved in the cannabis industry. Will it be better for the cannabis consumer? Absolutely better if we do something at the federal level. But the cannabis industry is going to end up with this really strange set of federal regulations from people who believe that they can just manipulate everything, control everything with enough information. I like the states' rights approach. There's negatives on it because we don't have federal legalization, but it's kind of you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, but you just explained. So, like our next two stories in Missouri, like the whole state rights being like the whole hot mess you're talking about is something we already have. Like it's already here, and the people who are benefiting out of it, there's some people who can afford to be a part of it. But when we get this federal regulation part, like the states' rights thing is a cop out. States' rights is not everybody's rights, and as an American, I think like we all should be fair, right? That's the social equity. It's going to be a fair, fucking all treated equal, no matter how you look, come from, financial. It's all about your quality of your product, maybe whatever your thing is. You got to be good at it, right? That's
all the social equity programs and determining who the winners are and who the losers are and who deserves social equity are creating a situation where a lot of people are treated unfairly. Not just the white rich man, but all the social equity applicants who are denied the opportunity to participate. If you self-identify as social equity eligible, you should be allowed to participate.
But they're all bullshit. Like that's the thing, right? A federal program would just enable proper structure, but this ain't going to happen overnight. This is not going to be a Kamala did a thing, or it could be delayed, it could be stopped, right?
What you're going to have is Cory Booker. I mean, I know Cory Booker's people. The first thing the day of Kamala Harris thing is they're going to say, well, let's get heavily involved in the cannabis legalization policy and legislation, and we think that it should go to certain individuals that we believe are social equity eligible. It might be black, it might be attached to marijuana stuff.
New Jersey's social equity is bullshit.
Cory Williams didn't. Cory Booker, wasn't Cory Williams, the basketball player. Yeah. Cory Booker wasn't involved in New Jersey's, but he will be involved at the federal level. There will also be people that say, okay, well, if we're going to legalize cannabis at the federal level, all shops have to be unionized. And
I don't know.
I may or may not
You're
believe
really
that.
reaching, dude.
Better than
I mean,
unionized. If they say, if you were a Schedule 3 shop, this is the security system you need. These are the pesticides you're allowed to
tell
use.
that to union activists. Tell that to somebody in UFCW or the Teamsters who are up there in Congress, who see a new industry coming and who are going to say, I will be damned if I'm going to let my Democratic representative or senator vote for that when I control their vote if it does not include a little something for the unions. That's what will happen. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do know it will happen, and we don't know the result.
What is another union industry at the federal level?
This is a new thing. This is the first time the federal government is actually
railroads.
Well, without referring to it, this is the first time the federal government is going to be able to snap its fingers and create a industry. And just like we saw in Minnesota or any other state, when the government has the opportunity, the ability, the power, and the unique moment to create industry, a lot of weird shit happens.
Well, what we can do is we can look at the hot mess we got.
Schedule 3, taxed on net revenue.
Yeah.
Just from a tax perspective and a profitability perspective, let's just get that, and then and I picked on the railroads. Railroads used to not even have standardized tracks. So, like, if you wanted to move your shipment interstate and you got to Iowa, it's like, oh, sorry, you have to move into a different car that has a different wheelbase so that you can fit on the tracks there. Standardizing allows for interstate commerce. So if you want to lay the foundation for interstate commerce or compliance federally for it not being illegal anymore, we need to have a set of rules.
This is when the porno music.
We don't need to have unions as part of that set of rules.
Yeah, but maybe interstate commerce is not having interstate commerce is a good thing. It certainly is for the local craft growers and brand developers state by state.
What about the 3-tier alcohol regulatory system? Like, if we were going to make beer here in beautiful St. Paul and send it down to Mita's office over in Phoenix or my office over in Peoria, Illinois, we would need to have shipping contracts and distribution licenses, move that product into those states.
And once
alcohol industry's already given us a way to regulate it.
Yeah. Yes. And I definitely think it's going to go down the path of alcohol.
But once rescheduling also happens, there's going to be that baby made from hemp and cannabis, right? Like these rules, like here in Minnesota, we got these two Minnesota stories. The first one is hemp industry leaders call Missouri governor's order banning THC products an overreach, right? So every state with some form of legalization, whether it's medical or recreational, they are squashing the hemp programs, right? They're trying to, like, the federal shit's going to come down.
It's for safety.
It's yeah, I mean they're not doing proper. There's no requirements for like lab testing, right? For half these products they're buying. I don't know how they're getting into gas stations and whatnot, but
They just call them hemp, and nobody's enforcing the law.
Exactly, and that's it. There's going to be a time when this is how you enforce it. These guys are individually going to come at the whatever's draining the funds from the state, because right now, right, cannabis is the only state fucking product only. Right? Supposedly, you can go to a store that came from your state. Every state I go to, I know it was grown in Washington, or in every store I go to here, I know it's Washington State weed. Right? So that's the only product that is like American, right? Like fucking fundamentally. The second Missouri story is there's an unprecedented second massive Missouri cannabis recall that leaves some companies scrambling.
How much of that hot hemp at the gas station before they shut it down through the executive order in Missouri was recalled? Zero. They had no recall. You know, when you open a hemp store, you don't have to have a quarantine and recall SOP. But if you open it, do you need a quarantine and recall SOP in Arizona?
Hemp? No.
What about for real stuff?
Real stuff. I think that's funny. Yes, you do. You do.
Yeah.
But here's my problem with that, and here's what's happening, and it's happening state by state and at the federal level. You have those people who've established themselves in their position in the THC license structure cannabis industry, lobbying and pushing on individuals at the assemblies and legislators and the federal level to create Prohibition 2.0, Drug War 2.0, and punish the hemp people for doing what they do, and educate the fuddy-duddies and the prohibitionists on how to attack hemp for being, and what's happening in the hemp industry for being dangerous, and how dangerous is the hemp industry and how dangerous is what they're doing. I agree. There's problems. So they should be tested and they should be incorporated in. But they're and I know these people. I was one of the original lobbyists in 2012, 2013. I was one of the people that was talking with the DHS director of Arizona and saying, okay, how do we get people to participate in the state regulated medical system? You need to have certain civil or criminal punishments and sanctions for people to participate in the state regulated system. That's Prohibition 2.0, Drug War 2.0. And then you need to redirect the tax dollars to law enforcement officials or regulators or specifically designed liquor cops, marijuana cops, to go after people who are not participating in the system legally. I was there. I know these guys. I know lawyers. I know their owners. I've been in the industry since 2012, and I no longer believe in that because I found that the most honest, genuine people in this industry are the people at Normal. Shout out to Normal. And what they do is generally always the right thing. God bless them. Yeah. But it took an education process. It took me going through greed and money and self-interest and the interest of the businesses that I was working with and representing that to a broader understanding of public policy, that it's a balance between the interests of everyone. So just know that that's happening. And this attack on hemp is not coming from the fuddy-duddies, not coming from those people who are concerned about public safety, but it's coming from the THC industry and the license holders that we all know and work with and get our stuff from. So, I mean, it is what it is.
But per state, because like Kentucky's thriving off of this shit, right? Tennessee probably thriving. Farmers are probably pulling in money. It's all per state, and that's where that state bullshit, right? Our
but
next
it's still
story,
crime. Like
well, it is.
They're pulling in money for something that is at best a loophole and at worst just a crime not being enforced.
Well, and the whole point of legalization for me as an advocate who's been doing this for a long time has been just to not get fucked with, right? Like, as we get into this more business side of things, and it is convoluted, and people should know better when they pivot and do things, because right now it's still that gray market. But our next story, marijuana moment, it shows that most people who use marijuana attain it from licensed retailers, a new survey finds. So even though it's hell expensive, Ohio, I am looking at you. You know, they people are
But
buying it.
that's somewhat misleading. It says among cannabis consumers in states with legalization laws, 8 in 10 say they purchase all or most of their cannabis from licensed retailers.
True.
Yeah.
So you have to have a legalization at least in your state, right? Like that's like the traditional market goes away. It's not because it's hard looking for a guy or being the guy or trying to like find a new guy because you know, whereas you can go to a store like a fucking Albertsons, Safeway, Fred Meyer, whatever you have in your region, Piggly Wiggly, and you just go in and grab a bag and leave, right? You want that
Piggly Wigglies in Arizona?
I think
Piggly Wigglies. No, we don't. We might have
like
one.
saying
but
it.
Piggly Wigglies.
I haven't seen one of those in forever.
But
You have a very
legalization works
intelligent
though.
audience.
I don't know about that. Well, yes, our audience is
Yes, they are.
extremely attractive and intelligent.
I can't see them,
Don't
but they are
forget to
intelligent. I'm
click
reading the
that like
comments.
button and also subscribe for more flattery.
But this
They're
is
all
how
Mensa members.
you learn on this stuff. It's awesome.
Well,
Yep,
we're here to
more than
share.
200 people tuning in. What's the next
Okay.
story, Mickey?
Well, make me.
I think we should do a little
I'll tell you something very
theme
interesting.
history.
So many people in Mexico now are getting their product from state licensed dispensaries on the
Yeah.
border of like New Mexico, Arizona, California, and taking it down south because the Mexicans want high-end, well-produced product,
so
safe
we
product.
should,
good
we should
as well.
go open one in Nogales in
Yeah.
Arizona.
It's a
Yeah.
that one in Nogales that it's there. It's doing brisk business, and people are taking weed down
Nogales
to
is
Hermosillo.
wild.
It's a fascinating
Nogales
thing.
is
Just
wild.
along the line of where people get their weed from. Sorry.
Hey, we should look at the thing that we're talking about.
Oh, you want to play some Name That Strain?
Hell yeah.
You can hear us when we're doing that.
I saw
And
this.
then when we're like this, it's interesting. So I'm just gonna. Oh, that's even more messed up.
They were playing. He's playing. We just can't hear you now. Can you? There. Well, now they're
Go to the
muted.
first angle.
So we got going on.
First
You can see
angle.
the
Yeah,
hints
I can
here.
fix it.
Okay,
This is
close.
see, it was clone and only strain that originated in southern England. Get the fuck out of
So-
here.
A Southern England strain.
Yeah.
That's English landrace right there.
Matter of fact, remember we had the guys in England and they didn't know what the word skunk, like how it came from an actual
Yes, it was
smell of
hilarious.
skunk.
We should get more of those English people back. And I'm really looking forward to like next year when we can do translations on the fly. So we'll just
Yeah.
translate all this into German.
Ooh, it's gonna be like a lot of yelling. Hein, donk.
Yes.
Got nothing. 9.
Is that really coming?
Yeah, evidently it's been earmarked. The chat GPTs of the world can already just start putting it into a different language.
That's impressive. You guys are so cutting edge, Miggy. This is fun. I'm learning stuff.
We internet.
Yeah, we told a
Uh,
lot of people the loophole about how you can advertise your licensed dispensary. And if you want to know, hit me up over at cannabisindustrylawyer.com.
That was a good. Oh shit, Chris got it.
UK
Exodus cheese.
You,
Probably just had. to
Mickey, why don't you
Google
tell us a
UK.
little bit about this Exodus cheese?
Yes, sir. Generally known as simply cheese or UK cheese, Exodus cheese is the original clone only strain that originated in Southern England sometime during the late 1990s or early 1990s. Said to be grown from a packet of Sensi seeds, skunk number 1, and known for its high yields. Right on. It's a pretty little nug. It's only 17% THC. Would you smoke it?
I'm
Hang on.
trying to see what Miggy has behind him. Look at all that cool stuff.
I got a
There you
map.
go. Is that
I got my
better?
little Legos because I'm a 10
But
year
now
old
we aren't going to be able to do nothing. So, help us out with the stories and all that. I made it full
No, you're
screen
good.
so that Dimitri's in.
Oh no! Don't mind me.
Yeah.
You
Don't
guys
mind
are
me.
fun.
My vision's bad, Mickey. Sorry.
No, you're
But
good,
you look
homie.
good.
So we got some Ohio news.
Ohio news, eh?
Yes. Well, this is the Ohio cannabis customers spend 11.5 million in first 5 days.
Woo.
So again, people will buy
A
expensive
lot of
weed.
tenths because they don't have AIDS.
A lot of tenths.
Is that really the Ohio flag?
Yeah.
It's one of them.
I had no idea. I've never seen it before.
You know what? Hawaii fucked me up. It's like a British royal flag. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun
That's
having
very cool.
Will do our producing stuff. He makes graphics.
I'm a
and shit.
states' rights guy. You know, if I could turn Arizona into a republic, I would. So
See, I'm
not too
American. All rights, freedom.
Yep. That's right. I ride an eagle to work.
There you go.
and an eagle has talons. We learned that
Don't forget
earlier.
that.
Not
Shoot with an
tentacles, talons.
So yeah, Ohio is racking it in, and they're gonna do fairly well this this market. What do you guys think?
I think whenever you legalize it, people get excited, and it's just getting started. They are bringing on new dispensaries online for the additional or the already existing medical licenses that didn't have a dispensary. So that should be like another 50. And then next summer, I believe there's going to be a social equity round in Ohio, but we still haven't gotten like the rules on that. So we don't know how social equity is going to shake out in Ohio. If it's anything like it is here in Minnesota, it's bullshit.
So they have dual use dispensaries. Apparently,
Hybrids.
So it is okay. So they sold 1,285 pounds of adult use flower in the first 5 days, and 173,000 units of manufactured products, edibles, vapes, tinks, totaling for 138,466 receipts. People like weed. Ohioans.
People
like
love weed.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then
what else was popping this week?
you got some Cali news?
Cali.
Millions. Expecting millions of illicit cannabis packages disguised as children's candy seized in California. Most of the packaging, is branded as sweet tarts. This is silly though, because you've talked about the copyright infringements, right? Like these products are like just like that. It's like a Twinkies, but then they have that little like default that shows the little cannabis symbol, that you're like a regulated market. Why would you go through that whole trying to make it look with that little adding that emblem? You're already doing illegal shit.
Dimitri can bring us up to speed on this, because I believe he was talking about it earlier, why there is less of an illicit market in Arizona relative to California based on the two types of regulatory schemes that those two states have had. So these types of knockoff illicit products are more likely to come out of California than in Arizona. But why is that, Dimitri?
There's a lot of themes there, and there's a lot of reasons, certainly, and it's not an exact science, more of an art, sort of like public health, deciding what's important and what's not. I like to bring things back to COVID policy. But the primary thing that I have found, knowing California and Arizona really well, and the difference is the legal punishments for participating or being involved in producing, manufacturing, transporting, selling, retailing in California are civil and small, and then in Arizona they're criminal and large. So the drug war 2.0 looks differently in California than it does Arizona, and so more people are participating in the black market, as well as equally, in my particular opinion, the taxation in California has created an absolute mess, because it's overtaxed and overregulated. And so those two factors combined, I would say, are the two biggest problems. So Arizona is doing a little bit better job.
Dimitri, what do you think about here, I'll share my screen. I don't know if you can be able to see it, but this copyright shit, right? This is like notoriously known, these doing shit like this where it makes it look like Twinkies, and they see they had a little CA California cannabis symbol there. Like if you're doing something illegal at that point, why are you even bothering with this little logo? You know what I mean? Why not just?
Maybe people will think again, if you're trying to counterfeit money, don't you want to make the money look real? So if you're trying to counterfeit weed, don't you want to make it look real?
Yeah, and I think in the transportation and distribution, and when you bump into your low-level cops who aren't necessarily tasked or don't give a shit about marijuana anymore, they see that quickly and they move on. This bust, I'd have to look who it came from. What were they marijuana cops? I mean, I don't know if California even has marijuana cops. They probably don't. But there was some sort of task force from the oversight agency who were the people that actually targeted that, because we had that issue back in in Arizona, and we actually created grants for local law enforcement agencies to go after caregivers, people who were selling illegally and growing illegally. And those, we had to pay extra to Pima County sheriffs, Pima County, Tucson Police Department, Maricopa County sheriffs, Phoenix Police Department. We had to pay them extra to actually go out and stop the black market activity, because their attitude was, it's still a criminal violation, but we really don't care. We're not going to be the ones policing the black market. But then, of course, again, because I have been involved in all this and I'm very transparent, it was the tax and regulate legal guys that went out there and pushed for drug war 2.0, prohibition 2.0, to eradicate the black market. This was my activity prior to my understanding of what's right and wrong in the cannabis industry, and my perspective has entirely changed in 2016, 2017, and evolved over time. But in between 2012 and 2016, when I was more involved as a lawyer lobbyist, trying to figure out how this new world should look, I didn't give a damn. So I was working with these individuals, and it was a very strange reality. But these individuals are popping up one by one in different states. When people look at this new world order and say, what can I do? What can we do here? What can I imagine? How should this work? And, these themes are they're replicating themselves. And that's why I have such a strong opinion about the free market and choice and these things. Because, don't be fooled. This does happen. So whatever.
This is why I think it's silly. The product and copyright infringement thing, that to do it, if you're doing an illicit market, if you're not part of the regulated market, because isn't if it wasn't the weed police that got him, I think it was most likely
it was the weed police.
It was the weed police, David Fowler,
Unified Cannabis
META.
Enforcement Task Force.
The highly educated team at META comes through.
Nice, but you know what? But you catch attention when you do shit like that, right? Like trapping 101 is not to be known, but unfortunately now these kids get this taste of like branding and marketing, and like it looks cool. But when you do that copyright infringement, you're bringing this ire on you, which you're kind of
also it appeals to children.
Look, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world. Ultimately, this is what I've learned about the cannabis industry, the cannabis movement. The underlying spirit of the cannabis plant, the cannabis movement, the cannabis community is freedom, it's choice. And when I see people working like this Governor's Unified Cannabis Enforcement Task Force, I promise you, it was pushed forward by members of the cannabis industry, and I get it. It's their right, and it's their interests, and it's their business, but it doesn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like the right thing to do if you're going to be involved in the cannabis industry. But they do it quietly. They do it with lobbyists. They don't say who they are. But some certain retailers will get together with the governor's people and talk to the task force people in rooms behind the scenes. I was there for a while. They used to welcome me in these rooms. They don't welcome me anymore because I just say what I want to say. And I promise not to have a non-honest conversation anywhere I go with anyone I talk to.
You were not cut out for PR.
So what am I doing?
Business is transparency, right? Like
it's transparency, yeah.
But the problem is, like
for example, let me take a cheap shot at Tom here. If I was running for office and they wanted me to be president of the United States, I would have had a presser on day one.
Sure. But because you seem to like talk and champion a lot about like the legacy people, the traditional market, right? But the problem is, like when I used to sell, the most I ever sold was a quarter pound. Like I'd buy a quarter pound and break it up, and they had a hustle. But there's a point though, I wasn't planning on being like cookies, right? The whole trapping thing, the cannabis industry is business, and business is fucking boring, and it's fucking. You're gonna have a niche, whether you're gonna be a grower. Like I saw a friend on my Facebook recently. He's doing these drops. He's leaving stuff around in his. I think he's in a recreational state, right? Growers have balls, but when you're doing a thing, say you grow 100 plants, you break it up. Now, how are you building your resume, right? You're trying to make there's no foundation for you because it's all undercover. Whereas we do have some, because Tom and I, right? We got the store. This is not a fucking fun process.
You just need to make sure that church says cool.
Business is shitty. Like we were all excited when we first got this license, but there's a so long, arduous process
that Chuck E. Cheese is a school.
And that's what we're dealing with, right? But we have some pot stocks that we can kind of review over what is out there right now.
I was telling people about pot stocks at this event, and so I saw some people that have retail licenses in South Dakota, and they're gearing up for Prop 29. And I showed them what we're going to do to help get around the bans on like social media and online advertising for your dispensary. And we're copying what Verano's doing with the Cabbage Club. So showing people the Cabbage Club.
Yeah, but first we need that brick and mortar.
We do. We're working on it.
Can I say something real quickly, Miggy? I agree with you. Business is tough. Business is complicated. Yeah. Regulations exist. Permits exist. Zoning exists. Rules exist. Taxes exist. Accountants exist. Lawyers. Look, yeah. I get it. I get it. I am a villager, Miggy. My grandma was born in a village, died in a village. She grew onions, and she even lived in the barter system in the mountains of southern Mexico. I have seen what a world can be like, and I see the world that we're creating and the inevitable structures and systems that we create, which to me are impediments and restrictions on the creativity of the youth, that you have to learn all this foundational crap before you can exercise your vision and creativity and design your own reality. So I see that, and it's unfortunate. So when I see it in the cannabis industry and I see it restricting the dreams of those people who just want to be a farmer and grow cannabis and figure it out in the dirt, they don't want to deal with all this shit. My heart goes out to them because it reminds me of the spirit of my grandmother, who would have never made it in this new world that we have to have. So,
well,
what am I?
But that's the thing about, if you want to be a farmer, that's fine.
An idealist.
There's a path now. But what sucks is you got to be a farmer for now, Tilray or Cresco or somebody who's got you're a fucking employee now, right?
That's right, especially in Florida.
I mean, you're gonna, and that's the inevitable about this, where you hope, like I buy Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper is my favorite, right? And I don't know about the people in the factory. I don't know about the fucking people packaging and shipping and cross. I just know I enjoy Coca-Cola. Eventually, weed's going to be the point where we're just like, it's just weed. But in this most recent report by the Whitney Economics by the Cannabis Business Times, there's a whole fluctuation of like a trend of going down when it comes to profitability. But I think it's also
give us the data.
Yeah, so we got a percentage of U.S. profitable U.S. cannabis businesses. So in 2022, profitable was 42%. In 2023, it was 24%. In 2024, it's 27%. I think this is just showing you the fucking ups and downs of business, right? This is
27% of cannabis companies are profitable.
As of 2024, that's what it says.
See, this is why we need Schedule 3.
Yeah,
because if you had to pay your taxes on your gross revenues instead of your net revenues, it's much more difficult to be profitable. Much more.
Well,
3 out of 4 cannabis companies are not profitable.
Yeah, and are those the big dogs? Are those like mom and pops? Depends on the state. That's the other thing about this data.
Dogs. The big dogs are publicly traded. There's one that's profitable, True Leaf, and they own half of Florida.
Well, and then you got these cannabis excise excess 280E taxation projections. All the way to 2035, they're looking at almost $8 billion that could be gone or could be used, which is insane. Like rescheduling
$8 billion of profits.
Yeah, the pro-scheduling change would be a stimulative monetary policy allowing operators a greater chance to achieve profitability. So back to what you said.
It's true.
Yeah,
definitely true. I still say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Which ones?
The people designing the drug war 2.0 and prohibition 2.0 inadvertently.
They also don't care about you.
No, it is. Well, I know. I'm just saying I can drift off into the sunset knowing that I saw the truth, and the inevitable nastiness that we created is what it is. Imagine those people that were awake while the drug war started in 68, 70, 72, 73, and they were watching this stuff happen and saying, what the fuck is this? And watching the media and the news reports and all that stuff happen back when they were instituting the drug war. I wasn't there, and but can you imagine, their perspective at the time?
But at least
How do
now
you-
we do have cannabis legalization news on at licensed dispensaries throughout the United States.
Yeah.
And so if you have a
And grows.
dispensary, put us on, and also on grows. Our voices help plants grow. I have no data to support that, but I feel like it's true.
I think Destiny's
Mhm.
voice would help a lot of things grow.
Destiny's voice helps
Oh,
help
that
plants
was-
grow. Okay.
You guys are being too
It
nice.
helps
Yeah.
something grow.
I hear that Brondo, the thirst mutilator, also helps
So plants
grow.
like, hell yeah.
That's what plants
But
like.
Dimitri, how do you define hemp?
How do I define what?
Hemp.
If that's a trick question, that's a complicated answer. But where are you going with that?
I mean, how do you define it, man?
The difference between hemp and marijuana and cannabis,
Yeah. What's the difference?
well, it's just the 0.03 thing. I mean, that's the legal difference.
That's it. That's it,
But,
right? It's a fucking plant, and that's the whole problem with this is
Yeah.
the education with the chip bill. Eventually, rescheduling. These people need to pivot, and right now, this is their glory days, and they need to understand. Like, so the new report that we have at a Entrepreneur is global hemp market to grow by 13.9 billion from 2023 to 2028. That projection don't mean shit if rescheduling happens next week or whatever.
That doesn't mean crap if the budget includes the high hemp kill switch, or if rescheduling defines it because it's synthetic THC is still a crime, and you're going to see a big change of how hemp is defined, because it's just roiling the market. You can't have us trying to be 500 feet away from a school, carding everybody, inventory control, security system, vault, quarantine protocols, and then just skip all of it, still use it for the exact same purpose and say, oh, it's Delta 8 THC, or it's THC A. So until you light it on fire, it's not hemp. I mean, it's not marijuana. That just completely so like imagine, and somebody who owns this shop up in Yankton, they have one, Yankton, South Dakota, shout out to them. They were talking about like, hey, yeah, here's the definition of corn, but if I take that corn and I go process it and turn it into like beer, I can't really call it corn anymore, can I? Or alcohol, like grain liquor, it's liquor, it's not corn. But they're doing that in hemp, and so they're taking hemp, they're doing chemistry, or they're taking weed, and then they're testing it in the wrong time, and then they're looking at just the THCA and ignoring that, even though as soon as it comes close to a flame, or something's wrong in the supply chain, because it's not the nicest supply chain. Right. There's no regulations.
Look, I don't have any answers.
Yeah.
I don't have necessarily a dog in this fight.
Well, you do.
I grew up in cannabis in the THC license industry the last 12 years. But truth is much more important than me, my existence, or anything we do here. So what is the truth of the situation here? And something has to give, because it's not fair to the THC guys what is happening with unregulated hemp. But what doesn't feel right, Mickey, is the fact that I know that it's the marijuana guys, it's the THC guys that are educating to restrict the hemp guys at the level,
the black market too,
at the black market, at the level that they're restricted, rather than saying, okay, just let the chips fall where they may. That's what doesn't feel right to me. And I'm not sure, I can't put my finger on it and what it means, but it just doesn't sit well with me, because it means that we as an industry, a THC license industry, are the ones poo-pooing and trying to punish them to bring them up here. Shouldn't we be asking to come down here to where they're at and be less regulated? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel right.
Ideally, you want deschedule, right? Everybody wants deschedule. But reschedule is the only fucking option we have, because Congress is never going to create something together on their own. But the biggest deal, dude, the reason why I'm like so adamant about rescheduling it and it's protections. It's end user protections. It's the consumer protection. So like that couple that got fucking busted in North Carolina smoking hemp, Delta 9 at a bus stop or South Carolina, wherever it was. It doesn't matter.
It was North
At least
Carolina.
People can get
They
fucked
bought it
with.
at the smoke shop, and
Yeah.
they're smoking it, waiting for a bus, and they get arrested. Which is like
No
hilarious.
protections.
If you're going to sell those THCA pre-rolls, you should at least do the crap they used to do with seeds and like put a sticker on it that says for novelty use only. Don't light on fire.
And Mickey, you're right. Ultimately, I mean, it's like talking about whether or not, NFL players should be able to collectively bargain when the public needs to watch NFL. So, whose interests are more important, the collectively bargaining or whether or not there should be, blacks playing football or, the issues that the NFL football players have been through as a team or the interests of all the fans that just want to watch the football, and
I
that's
like
the
when they
consumer.
hit each other and get injured.
Yeah. You know what I'm
Especially
saying?
the
So,
brain stuff.
so you're right. I mean,
Thank you,
Schedule
Rosemary.
3, any sort of action at the federal level gets it one step closer to freedom and less restrictions for the consumer, average consumer. I just reflect on these
But
things.
safety, we need safety and purity, and then
Yeah.
standardization. So I think that fixes the hemp problem too. If you're going to be taking cannabis for human use, human consumption, not clothes, rope, and industrial purposes, human use, then they needs to have a set of rules. This is the inputs that you're allowed to put in. This is what you have to test for it. I don't believe in THC limits. Nature will limit it itself.
But American policy is so damn bad that we can't do what the hell Ukraine's doing in the middle of a war. I'm just saying.
We can't go.
All right, come from marijuana moment. Ukraine medical marijuana legalization law officially takes effect amid ongoing Russian conflict. I'm just saying, those guys are going through some shit right now and still fucking pass rules that help their fucking citizens. So rescheduling, come on, let's do this.
It's never as bad as the media makes it out to be. I mean, Noam Chomsky talked about that a long time ago, back in the 70s, when
dying?
he, brought that issue to the forefront about the unusual partnership between the mainstream media and the defense industrial complex, and how they push the theme of war in order to make more money, all that kind of stuff. And so I still buy into that. I mean, I haven't been to Ukraine personally, but then I don't believe anything that I'm told about Ukraine. So
I don't want a vacation there.
I mean,
I don't want a vacation there. I'm just saying, I wouldn't. Would you?
I'll go. Somebody send me a ticket. I'll go.
And that's when we never saw Dimitri again.
I promise you, is there anybody here on the show from Kiev? What's the?
We do not translate this into Ukrainian.
I have a coworker.
We will probably also not be translating it into Russia anytime soon. We definitely will do Chinese, just so we get banned in China.
And India.
Yeah, I mean,
we definitely gotta do India. 8 billion people there.
Well, and they smoke weed.
Yeah, too. Guys, we've been at it for an hour, and that was our last.
How many stories are we done with stories?
Yeah, man.
Is that the news for the week? What are you up to this week?
There's always shit going on. Oh, speaking of, you know what just came out recently though was the JD Vance and his fentanyl and weed thing.
Oh God, that was terrible.
What happened?
JD Vance said marijuana is being laced with fentanyl and teenagers are getting it.
Yep.
Just like the most out of touch dare statement you've ever heard, and you go, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself." We should shave his beard so he looks like the frightened young boy that he is.
He does not use eyeliner or fucks couches. That we can deny. I don't know. We're just saying.
Allegedly.
Yeah, no, that was it. Allegedly. Shit. You guys got plans? CannaCon plans.
CannaCon plans. We got to tear down this bitch because it closes at 5, and so we might have one more podcast, or we might have to pack it up.
Should we show like a preview of what the floor looks like?
Sure, let's preview the floor.
Well, everybody's closing up now. It's not a good time.
They're kind of closing up.
In fairness
Put
to
it on you,
CannaCon,
you'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah, things. Well, there's
There's
Destiny.
Destiny is
Everybody can
managing the show.
Let's preview Destiny.
All right. Fantastic.
Yes,
You know.
say, well, there
No,
you
I
go.
didn't want to get on because they asked me to get on. I was like, that's like a sausage sandwich. I'm okay. He's like, come sit right here.
A sausage sandwich? What's that?
Because you guys are
That's
men.
you.
Shouldn't that be
See
a
that?
sausage fest?
Like,
This is your fault.
well, yeah, it
Dimitri.
is a sausage
Yeah.
fest. But if I'm
It
in the
is.
middle, right between you, that's
Oh,
a
between
sausage.
us. Okay.
Yeah, you really
Yes.
come stay right here.
I thought you meant the show's audience was like a sausage.
No, we
No.
have data on that. That's correct.
The
That is
audience
correct,
is
yeah.
amazing.
That's
I
true.
saw some females in here.
Hey,
The audience
Shout
is
out
sausage.
Rosemary.
I want to
Yeah.
say it's about
Shout
90%
out.
men.
90%
Like that.
at least, 40s
Yeah.
to 50s, something like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
man.
the important thing is the
Mhm.
education. We help educate people, and then we also advocate. Why don't you tell
100%.
people where they can get in touch with you, Dimitri, and we'll wrap
Oh
this
yeah,
up.
yes.
There
I
you
was just
go.
thinking the most. I was thinking about education in general, and the one thing I know is the more I see, the less I know. The more I find out as I go. Those kind of things mean a lot to me. I'm a confused soul in a confusing world, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie about it. My name is Dimitri Downing. You can always look us up, www.mit-az.org. Sign up for our Meta, our newsletter. We're on Meet Unshackled. There's a lot of information. We ask a lot of questions, a lot of people, and let them tell their stories. And then you guys can figure out what's real from there.
Awesome. And my name is Tom. You can find me right here. Miggy, we're going to have to schedule Kyle Cushman. We got to get back to his people
Yes.
and have
That'd be
him as a
fantastic.
guest. So who else needs to come on as a guest? Let us know.
Yes.
We're going to be revamping the cannabislegalizationnews.com website just to make it really easy for people to go and sign up for our newsletter, which comes out when the show comes out. So if you want to go to Cannabis Industry Lawyer right now, you can sign up for our newsletter, and soon on cannabislegalizationnews.com.
Thanks for hanging.
Thanks for
Oh, yeah.
hanging.
There you
Hey,
go.
if you are a member,
Look
you're
there.
going to be in the credits.